right. It is Thursday, which means that it's Disco Elysium time, which, reminding everybody, I will not be streaming Disco Elysium next Thursday because I will be at a concert. So if you come here or you go to YouTube and you expect it, I'm afraid you may be disappointed. But perhaps I'll have a new cover song or something like that to tide you over on YouTube. So I'll give you something, but it won't be Disco Elysium. But tonight we have Disco Elysium. You might see I've done some redone stuff with the graphics. Do like a proper reveal of everything at another time when I'm not about to dive into a game. But hopefully you'll like it. Please pay attention to the notices in the lower left. I figured I'd put it in writing because if you like Disco Elysium, you probably like reading words. So maybe you'll read the words. No, okay, so Disco Elysium has given us strict instructions this time to do some wandering around and things. And I'm curious to see where this will take us. But I don't have anything I want to comment on. I've had no new thoughts here, but look at how much better my super pretty jewel tone colors for my rainbow. It fits the really, really almost sickly vivid colors in the game better. Look at how much prettier it is. Isn't that great? I'm pleased. Okay, so Martinez, I'm going to say right here and right now that I'm going to butcher every bit of French because my French accent is not very good. And I know this because I actually took French for years. I can understand some spoken French and some written French, but I'm terrible at speaking it and my accent is really not good. So I'm probably going to err on the side of just plain saying things with an American accent instead of trying to pronounce them in French, because I feel like that'll be less embarrassing somehow. French is very hard. Well, one of the big challenges is that French is a very vowel-focused language, and American English is a very consonant-focused language. And so I can't even hear the difference in the vowels very well. I'm also very limited in the R sounds that I'm capable of making physically. I just, like, if I spoke a language that required me to roll my R's, I would have a speech impediment. So I'm a little self-conscious about how bad my French accent is. So please be patient with me. Oh gosh, it's such a pretty song. So there was a thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit before we dive on in, but it's related to the game, so it counts. So, like, one of the things that stood out to me in last week's stream is we don't have clear and absolute evidence that Revolver Ocelot is a cop. And so I have I'm holding on to I'm reserving absolute, like, yes, he is a cop until we get that absolute confirmation, which we may or may not get. Pay attention to the things down there, by the way. Again, reminder, no spoilers, no backseating. That means you, all of you. So do not confirm or deny. My speculation might be really dumb. I might say something completely absurd or silly. That's okay. Let me say a silly thing. I will either find out that I'm wrong and either feel silly or not feel silly, or I won't find out and we'll be fine too. But so we don't have any concrete evidence. Oh, Loki, thank you for cheering. So we don't have concrete evidence that he's a cop. We just have other people have told him that he told them that he was a cop. That's all we have. Circumstantial evidence indicates that he's a cop, but we don't have any conclusive evidence of our own. I mean, it is true that Kim believes, due to the circumstantial evidence, it seems most likely that he is a cop and not an imposter. but it is possible that he is an imposter. However, I will say, because I know when I, on a meta level, I know that I have esprit de corps. Sorry. And I know that the descriptions of my skills indicate that I am a cop. The descriptions of them say so. But there could be, like, that could be something designed to throw me off the trail, or it could be because I'm fulfilling the role of a cop without necessarily being a cop. However, one of the things that stood out to me last time, that I didn't really talk about, because I did talk about some of the things that did stand out to me. Like, I talked about Johnny Lowe. I don't know how you would say that. It's supposed to be with an apostrophe, but Johnny the man. That the humanity that came through in his story that was absolutely gorgeous. But I've talked about that, so I'm not going to repeat myself about that just now. But one thing that I don't think I really talked about is the way that when we finally go back to look at the corpse, and like all of the things in his actions, like him getting sick, him reacting really strongly and badly to seeing the body, that's something that could be taken. Even he takes that, or has the option to. I chose that option, to take that as a possibility that perhaps he's not used to dealing with dead bodies. Perhaps he's not actually a cop. But Kim reassures us that that even, people who are very, very experienced have that reaction, which I suspect is true in the real world as well. I do think probably in certain career paths, like you probably aren't the, oh gosh, I just blanked, the the person who does the thing on the body to see why it died, cause of death, the mortician, thank you, Chrono. Coroner, mortician, these words, you probably don't stay in those career paths. You probably don't make it to actually that being your career path if you can't desensitize to some degree. But I imagine that a lot of people who have jobs that sometimes encounter these things do have like they don't desensitize. And yeah, no, this body is particularly bad. No, that's true. It's been hanging here for like a week or more. But one of the things that I thought was interesting as far as evidence that he is something, evidence in favor of his actually being a cop, is the way that he looks at the prints. And again, this is optional. You could not roll high enough to be able to see what is going on with all those many, many footsteps, let alone deciphering how many footsteps there are and what size shoe people are wearing and roughly how much they might weigh. Like, the way that he did that was comfortable and practiced. This is a man who's done that before. This is a man who has that knowledge in his head for some reason. And this is a man who kind of like goes into the zone. And so that indicates to me, like, that's a skill set that not everybody has, and a knowledge base that not everybody has, but that would be very plausible for cops to have. A detective should have skills like that. And the way that he does it is clearly visible from the outside by somebody who knows what that is clear what he's doing. Like, Kim was able to watch him and watch the way that he was looking at things and watch the way that he was moving, perhaps subconsciously working through that. And Kim was like, that is a man who is actually making sense of these footsteps. That is a man who can read these prints. So there's evidence in favor of that. But it is really interesting because this man, Revolver Ocelot, is so incredibly incompetent at many things. Like, it's not just that he's lost his memory. His clothing is decrepit, falling apart, stained, horrifying. you get the feeling when you talk to the people who dealt with him before we pick up that he was terrible with people, has no common sense, no nothing. And yet he has the potential to be this almost savant detective, which is very interesting. And I also kind of wonder, you know, given that the cops are not a police force in a unified sense, as we tend to think of that as of them, you know, and given how different the culture seems to be from precinct to precinct, and again, I don't know a ton about contemporary cop culture, but I feel like there's probably not like the police academy to go through. So how do you develop those skills? How do you pick up those skills? Who gets, who gets recruited or decides to sign up, and why? What role do the cops fill culturally? Because Martinez is the name of the district that we're in right now. Like, they particularly don't like the cops here. Like, we have graffiti by this gardener that is about hating the cops, and people have said things to the effect of like, this is a place where like they really don't like the cops. And oh I did tell you we were gonna see it again, didn't I? The music kind of cuts out. He can't quite get his legs up, but he's trying. He does try. That seemed to last longer this time than I remembered it last time. Yes, we will get this at the start of every episode. Look at these boys. They're doing a trust exercise. Oh, look at that. Oh, he actually got his legs up. Not out, but up. He doesn't have the core muscles to be able to get his legs out, but he did get them up. I'm so proud of him. Good job. Isn't it a wonderful idle animation? We saw it for the first time last time. You have to stand for 10 minutes, which I will do. But yeah, so I found myself having questions, lots of questions about Revolver Ocelot and what it means to be a cop in this world, and what the difference perhaps is between a militia. In theory, a militia should be more from the people than a police force per se. And if my theory is correct that they have the badges, the patches on their jackets, because there is no uniform, so it's whatever you've got. We put the patches on them, and that's how we know that you're in the cops. Like, that really indicates relative lack of... What's the word I'm looking for? Overall consistency and coherence culturally. Oh, look, it's a thing I can click on. We're gonna go click on that now. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have anywhere that I was going with that. I have no clever thesis statement. Just it's just something I'm thinking about, you know. No uniformity because they don't have the uniforms. Yeah, no, it's I don't know. It's interesting though. I'm really curious. I've just been thinking about that. That's a thing I was thinking about. So I wanted to put that there. Just some thoughts. All right. Let's go look at some things. An ancient fountain. It doesn't pump water anymore. There's a tree in it. That is a pretty conclusive way of no longer pumping water. A tree has grown through your fountain. That is interesting. Things are definitely decrepit, at least in part, I think, because they were being held back. Because we tried to do something and the rest of the world didn't want us to do it. And I imagine that that has contributed to how things are falling apart. Tire tracks leading onto the roof. The slush and the rain has almost washed them off. Tire tracks leading onto the roof? What roof? What am I thinking of? The spirited chirps and clicks of swallows fill the air. Birds. What roof? I've got these guys talking over here, talking about the weather and how long they've known each other. I didn't know you could bonsai any tree. I don't know very much about bonsai. So you can make little bitty trees? Yeah, the things you can click on is the... Oh, wait, what is this? That looks like a wheel of cheese. Let's go over here and see what's going on. I'm like leaning as though that's gonna like help me look around here. Take... What is that? Oh, I guess I might as well take some meds. Okay, I've got some healing items. They won't help me because I will absolutely die in one hit. Okay, that's probably ring a doorbell. Or is that just an observation? I guess we'll find out. Oh, there's a dude over here. What is this barrel thingy? Let's take a look at this. What is this? Fingerless gloves. Oh my god. If anyone does not yet know, I am a big fan of fingerless gloves. I think they're really cool. In fact, maybe I will put on, they're really more like sleeveys, but my friend got them for me for my birthday because she thought that they look like fingerless gloves, and she knows how, she was like, you seem like you've been on a fingerless glove kick recently. And I'm like, I'm always on a fingerless glove kick. They're the coolest things in the world. Now, mine are not druggy gloves, but we're going to take a look at these electrochemistry gloves. But I'm putting on my gloves. I'm going to get in character, but not too much in character. I don't drink, so that would be a problem. Yes, they could also be potentially another indicator of queerness, I suppose. They seem like something that could indicate counter culture type or not mainstream culture thing. No, I don't think I would have a very high electrochemistry. I've only been tipsy once, and that was we had some fancy wine at my grandma's funeral, or I guess the post-funeral family get-together when I was a young teenager, and I got tipsy on that. So electrochemistry in this game has to do with like drugs and stuff. All right, fingerless gloves. All right, let's take a look at what I got. Okay, clothes. Let's look at these fingerless gloves. Gasoline-stained fingerless gloves in navy and blue. They've been worn threadbare, but, being made of wool, still provide some warmth and comfort. Cigarette-stained fingertips. Okay, that's interesting. Yes, it's the sex, drugs, and rock and roll skill. That is true. Items. I thought I picked up something. Did I not? I did not. Oh no, I picked up another medicine. Okay. Bonuses. I gotta be careful about this. My inland empire is a little out of control. Which makes it more likely that the tie will make you hallucinate. Oh man. I became less charming because I'm wearing a stained satin shirt. But my disco-ass blazer gives me more cop power. Electrochemistry. Go to party planet. Love and be loved by drugs. Yeah. All right. So we're also... Okay, so here's our character sheet. Sorry, where was it? Here it is. Yeah. So that's electrochemistry, which is cops who need lightning. Oh dear. Yeah, so this is drugs, knowing about drugs, being good at drugs. I want to put points in shivers because that's the spidey sense, and I think that would be neat. But we're not there yet. I might put a point in physique if I level up so that I can stop dying as much. I've only died once, but you know, you kind of get the feeling. Let's take a look at this. There's a ton of signs posted here. Waterlock out of order until Wednesday, 7:15 a.m. What day is it? Well, it's okay. Revolver Ocelot does not know what day of the week it is. So a waterlock is they like raise and lower the water in a way so that boats can go up and down in things. There's a way of doing that I don't fully understand, but that's what a waterlock is. So it's out of order. Are you talking to somebody in particular, or are you talking to yourself, buddy? I'm curious what that is. I can't tell, and I don't understand the technology here enough. All right, my friend Barry is stuck on the other side. Oh, this is the lock. This thing right here. So these things here should close. And then, so they make a little thing. They make a little box, and then they can fill that box up and do stuff. Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, I guess I'm a relatively wholesome streamer, and I know that this game has unwholesomeness in it, but it does also have wholesomeness in it, so. Let's see, let's talk to this fella here.
Good morning to you, officers.
Oh, he's got a knife, doesn't he? Man on waterlock. Honestly, I think that's a knife. But he's being polite. I'm turning the volume up, by the way. I figured you probably couldn't hear that, so. It's a little quiet to me, so if it's quiet for me, it's probably way quiet for you. It's how you move boats over land of their own power. Okay, yes, thank you. I knew it was kind of that.
A burly man hangs out by the waterlock, carving up a generous serving of salami with an old hunter's knife. His eyes are fixed on a man stranded on the other side of the waterlock and on an enormous billboard that has fallen down into the canal between them.
Oh man. Okay. So my options here are, first things first, what are you doing here, man on the waterlock? I love that you can call him man on the waterlock. Do you know what caused this wreckage? And point at the smashed billboard in the canal, or leave. I imagine the wreckage probably has something to do with them trying to cross it, and they put a billboard down and it didn't work. But we'll find out. I'm gonna ask him what he's doing here, because why not? But that's salami he's using his knife on. But we all observed so well. I observed that it was a knife. You observed that he was cutting something with the knife that wasn't me. We're all good. I hope you can see this, by the way. I hope it's clear enough. Oh, by the way, when I started the game up, it was once again this big, and then it's like it remembered. And then it went to normal size. Aren't you proud of it? I'm proud of it. All right, I'm gonna hit one. First things first. What are you doing here, man on the waterlock?
My friend Barry the Butcher is stuck on the other side of the waterlock. I'm keeping him company and eating his salami.
You know, I was gonna say Barry the Butcher. That sounds like the name that they would give like somebody who like kills people for a living. But like, if you're eating his salami, he's probably literally a butcher, which is great. I like that. That's really fun. Because you don't, at this point, like, you don't know in this world. Like, I had people ask me why oh, Beppis, instead of having a safe word, we have a hat. The chat hat. The chat hat is how I indicate that I'm actually asking a question. I do. I have a chat hat. Thanks to Chrono. It used to just be, I would say I was putting on the chat hat. We all had to use our imagination, but thanks to Chrono, Chrono sent me an actual chat hat that his sister-in-law made for me. Isn't that great? So now we have a chat hat. It's the lesbian-y. It's great. I'm really excited about it. And it's big enough that I can just put it on over my headphones. So it's fantastic. Yeah, so I had some people kind of like ask me, like, kind of like, what was up with me thinking about the cops as half brothers and taking that literally. And I was like, well, I have no reason to disbelieve it as a literal thing. You know, at this point, I know so little about the world around me that I can just take literally everything at face value, which is causing me problems because the game is trying to make meta jokes that I'm taking at face value. But because I don't know how the world works at all, like, I'm open to absolutely any possibility. And eventually I might get my bearings and be able to say, like, I don't know if something is wrong with OBS or what, because I'm not getting any dropped frames. I'm not having any issues with my connection. It just disconnects periodically. And it does seem like it's happening once every stream. So please let me know. What was the last thing you heard before I disconnected? Because I have no way of knowing. I don't know what causes that. I've even shut down other things that might be taking up my computer's resources. So I don't know if it's an OBS problem or what, but anyway, I don't know if you heard my question that I just asked. What was the last thing that you heard me say before I disconnected? Because I don't know when the disconnect exactly happened. No, unfortunately, it did this last time. Well, it makes me feel bad, though, because there's somebody who likes to watch this at a different resolution that didn't show up in the one that I had to concatenate when I downloaded them. Okay, so I was talking about taking things at face value. Yes. Okay. All right. So despite the random disconnection, I can pick up my train of thought here. Yes. Yes. Okay. Hopefully that'll be the only disconnect we get tonight. But if it isn't, we'll just do our best. So because I don't know how the world works, I have to take things at face value, which makes me miss some of the game's jokes, because they're making jokes that are meta jokes that they expect me to pick up the meta level. But I'm, again, taking everything at face value. But what I was saying, or going to say before I disconnected, was that it's interesting because I don't know if magic exists in this world or not. Because the words that they use to describe the supernatural or the paranormal are variations on those words. They've taken those words and kind of flipped them weirdly. And that has kind of served as a signal to me that it's possible that the status of the supernatural in the world of Disco Elysium is not the same as the status of the supernatural in our world, if we are to assume in our world that there are not going to be supernatural occurrences happening. Yeah, they have paranatural or supranormal. And they've used both of those words. Or supernatural. No, I'm pretty sure it's paranatural and supranormal or something like that. But either way, those words are not quite what we're used to. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that there is magic in this world, but it is one more way of indicating that things are different and calling into question whether there's magic in this world. So we know that the technology in this world is different, because we see it, because the terms that they use to describe it are different. There's definitely some similarities, although it does seem like it's rather stuck in a previous era. But they use different words, and that's interesting. But I wonder, because Revolver Ocelot has kind of acted like he sort of maybe believes in the possibility of there being magic. Like it's a thing that he's tried to convince Kim of and then failed. And I lowered his spirits by accident by having him try to convince Kim of his sexy dark mystery idea that might be supernatural. But so I don't know. We'll see. But so I don't know exactly how I got started on that. It might have had something to do with me. Oh, me taking the phrase "Barry the Butcher." Do I take that as is this like a mobster who kills people, or is this like literally a guy who butchers and sells meat? I don't know. And I'm perfectly open to the possibility of either. And Revolver Ocelot is too. Like, he and I are both like, sure, yeah, I could be that. And Kim's like, no. Yeah, that's the thing, is because there's the salami, that this is his salami that's being eaten by this guy. That indicates my gut reaction of Barry the Butcher. Barry the Butcher is a mobster, you know, and that's his mobster nickname. Calls that into question. It's like, well, you could just take the simpler, easier, more likely explanation that he is a butcher by trade. So, yeah. Sorry, salami. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. That's how I know how to say that word anyway. But yeah, okay, so the man on the waterlock. Let's get back to this. Yeah, no, like, Kim, I do not take Kim as the word of God. Kim is one man with his own flawed perception of things. And I have no way of knowing what's real or not, so... Yeah. We're gonna just roll with it and see. This world is going to have to tell me. One thing that has had me run into conflict with people before is that I tend to be more likely to be open to the possibility of magic in stories. And other people assume that magic doesn't exist in stories, so even when it happens in stories, they will be more likely to believe that the main character is crazy than that magic is happening, even though magic is happening and there are gods on the screen talking about things, but it's set in the real world, so it must just be that people are crazy. Oh man, but you don't really want me to get started on that now, do we? May I refer you to my Night in the Woods playthrough, where Lauren talks about magic realism in her own stories a lot. A lot. Oh man, I had some feelings about that. All right. How do I can progress this? Scroll. Continue.
From the corner of your eye, you see a man in a yellow shirt and grey overalls waving at you from across the canal. He seems disappointed about the wreckage on the waterlock and the salami.
Oh, maybe the wreckage is the reason why they can't do anything with the waterlock. Interesting. That is kind of cute, though. Like, he can hear us talking, so he knows that we're talking about him, so he's waving back.
Very good stuff. Anything I can do for you, officer?
The man on the waterlock picks the skin off a slice of salami and takes a sizable bite. I do like the detail of him having his mouth full when he says that. It makes it feel more alive and present. I'm taking notes.
I wasn't here to witness it, but those look like tire tracks on that sign. Weird, huh? Then again, plenty of daredevil drivers in Rivershoal.
Yeah, he does have an Australian accent, doesn't he? Okay. Yes, by the way, I forgot to read what I picked out loud again. Do you know what caused this wreckage? And then you point at the smashed billboard in the canal. So tire tracks on the sign. We do know that a car smashed through the fence where the dead body is. I think, or at least a vehicle seems to have, so I don't know.
The words daredevil driver sound ominous to you.
Are we back? Okay, well, that's gonna be fun. I guess I'll be piecing together a video again tonight. Okay, well, hopefully that's the last of that. I guess I'll give folks a minute. Oh, man. Why is my technology doing this? We were back for like 10 minutes this time. That's such garbage. I'm sad about it. Okay. So I assume the last things you heard were Daredevil Driver, so you didn't see me like make a face and tell Inland Empire to shut up, did you? Apart from that, stream's been going okay. Okay, well, apparently I have been failing at technology. Maybe I should just, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to record it locally because in case the problem is OBS, that could cause problems. All right, well, Inland Empire apparently killed my computer, my connection, but we're back. Yes, I told Inland Empire to shut up. Internet Explorer, maybe. IE. It's not good. I don't even know what it's going off about here. It's funny because Inland Empire is the sort of thing that I love in real life to a certain degree, but in this game I'm just like constantly shoving it back in the locker. Like, no, go back. This is not where we don't want you here. So okay, so there's just been some connectivity issues happening. Well, cool. We will do our best. We will do our best, but I apologize in advance if this is going to be kind of a choppy ride. I know I'm stifling Inland Empire's creativity because I love that stuff in real life. I love speculating about it or like joking about like if this like crazy ridiculous thing were real. But in this game it goes too far. It goes too far. I have to keep it in check.
Too bad it also takes a year and a day to repair anything around here. Especially a waterlock. The rest of the coast is closed off till then.
So it's interesting. Year and a day is such a great phrase. I'm used to that from like fairy tales and things, personally. But yeah, let's see. So the waterlock is closed. And there's a strike, so the transportation in the other direction is closed. So we are seriously isolated here. That's interesting. Artificially limited how far out we can go. How interesting. All right. So we can either say, do you know what's further down the coast? Can I have some of that salami? I'm going to ask him if he knows what's further down the coast.
Well, there's the fishing village, an abandoned fish market, a bizarro church. Not much use to the congregation, though. There always seems to be something wrong with it.
I gotta go to that, obviously. Obviously, I have to go to a bizarro church and see what the heck is going on there. Abandoned fish market. We heard about that from Johnny, didn't we?
Yeah, not really much else. Just bombed out ruins.
Bombed out ruins. Yeah, by the way, the rest of the world did not take too kindly to what we did. So at this point in the story, I can anticipate either wasn't his name Johnny? Is his name not Johnny? The fellow that I talked to last week. Tommy. Thank you. Okay. Tommy and Johnny are very similar names. So I was saying something. What was I saying? I completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. This is the downside of my brain being what it is that it's very hard for me to hold things. No, it wasn't the Bizarro Church. It was something else. Oh, the bombed out ruins. Yeah, so it could be that we did something absolutely morally reprehensible and the rest of the world was like, oh my god, we need to stop this now before something terrible happens. But it's also possible that we were trying to do something that wasn't absolutely terrible and the world responded with inappropriate force, which is also plausible. Either of these possibilities could happen. So we'll find out. Bye, Beppis. Thanks for coming by. I hope you enjoy Deltarune. I enjoyed Deltarune. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm going to ask him if I can have some of his salami. He seems like a good-natured fellow. And it's not even his salami. It's his friend's salami. So he should give me some salami. And maybe then we'll find out if I'm sick from salami. We'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to ask if I can have some of his salami.
Sure thing.
He cuts off a slice of salami. Yes.
Want some too, officer?
He's offering some to Kim.
Why not?
The lieutenant ponders the offer for a moment, then decides to go for it. He takes a slice of salami from the man and chews on it. Oh, I got my friend a snack too. Amazing. Okay. See, like, on one hand, we can joke about Ocelot's amazing detective brain because, like, he's completely pickled himself. But he does actually have an amazing detective brain. It's just pickled. So, I'm going to say right by, and then I leave. Let's take a look at this. Oh, I auto-saved. What is this?
A couple of indicator lights are missing from this control panel. Loose wires dangle from the now vacant holes. In the middle is a lever. Beneath it, a small metal plaque.
Sounds like somebody didn't just run down. Oh, they use that as a ramp. Actually, I wonder. But how would you even get a vehicle? I don't know.
This panel usually closes the waterlock, turning it into a bridge that lets you cross the canal. But there's a crashed salmon and butter sign in the way. Pulling the lever probably won't do anything.
Probably won't do anything. I did just autosave. Let's pull it up and see what happens, shall we? I mean, it's not going to do anything. Maybe it'll electrocute me to death. That'll be great. We did just autosave, so let's pull the lever up. So is lever the British pronunciation and lover the American pronunciation, or is it more regional than that? Let's find out.
You pull the lever all the way up until the metal clicks against the contact pins. You hear a soft clunk. Then
Nothing.
Nothing happens.
Oh, man. I'm gonna push it harder. Let's see what happens.
Nothing happens. A cold gust of wind blowing in from the sea interrupts the silence of the situation.
Oh, is Kim disapproving? Yes. Kim disapproves. I'm sorry, Kim. I'm sorry I keep disappointing him. I don't mean to, but I do.
The spring brings the lever back to its original position. You still need to close the waterlock to get across the canal. Some other way.
Okay.
Wasn't there a sign over there saying functionality will be restored on Wednesday morning?
Yes, indeed. I did. I did see that. That is correct. However, it is so tempting to pull the lever again. I want to do it.
You pull the lever all the way up, but nothing happens.
Oh.
The spring brings the lever back. Wasn't there a sign over this?
Fine. Fine. Let's take a look at this. Butter sign down. That's my observation.
A crumpled billboard reading, Samaran butter soaks in the canal. Two ugly lines mar the bright countenance of the blonde boy depicted.
I'm going to first do what is Samaran butter, and then we're going to try this visual calculus.
Whatever it is, the boy on the billboard seems very happy about it. Goat milk butter. The Samaran terrain makes it easier to raise goats than cows, and the local goat farmers produce high-quality meat and dairy staples that add variety to other nations' diets.
Okay, right, yeah, because other nations are more likely to have cows because that's just how it is. We're learning about butter, yes, yes. Or butter. All right.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, I'm not the hugest fan of goat's milk products in general. I don't remember if goat's milk has lactose in it. I'm mildly lactose intolerant, but that doesn't stop me. When I was a kid, I was very lactose intolerant. And it kind of comes and goes. Let's see. Let's do this visual calculus. Ominous daredevil feeling. I have got a pretty good likelihood of succeeding. I mean, I might still fail. I love that I'm still walking around with these gloves on.
Just some tasteless advertising at the bottom of a canal. No use rubbernecking now.
Excuse me, visual calculus? It's locked. I disapprove. Well, I'm going to try again. I will attempt to reconstruct what happened here another day. Visual calculus is mad at me for how I've been talking to Inland Empire. Close the water lock on Wednesday. To get to the coast, you need to use the panel to close the water lock. It's been blocked pending repairs, which should be done by Wednesday morning. This will open up a new area in Martinez. Okay, so I will eventually be able to go to more of Martinez. But for the intro section here, I can't. Alright, let's ring the doorbell, I guess. Roy's Pawn Shop. Fast cash for faster times. Do you suppose I could sell my necktie? Maybe I could sell my necktie. I'm not going to do that yet. But it's good to know that there's a shop. Alright, what we got going on over here? I do want to go talk to the cops. I want to call the cops and see if they can tell me who I am. God, this music is so pretty. A helpline to the company that controls the drawbridge. Alright, so we got a fella over here. This is a different fella. Let's see.
You see a Samaran street vendor surrounded by a motley assemblage of goods. When he realizes you're looking at him, his face breaks into a wide, welcoming grin.
I don't know where in the real world Samaran culture might map to, so I'm curious about this.
The name Siileng is embroidered over his breast pocket.
Okay.
Happy shopping, officer. Everything's cool here.
He gives you a thumbs up. Alright, I'm going to ask him what's so cool.
Everything's cool. The goods are cool. The customers are cool. The place is cool. And one more thing, officer.
Is he going to say you are cool?
You're very cool. Bang, 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 bang.
He makes both hands into finger pistols and fires a few finger bullets into the air. I'm going to say... So I can either say, really, you think I'm cool? Or, I'm not cool? Or, whether I'm cool is unimportant. I have police questions for you. Amazing. Some of the options that I've gotten have indicated that there's a version of Ocelot that's like, man, tell me I'm a cool guy. Oh yeah, I'm awesome. Like, you know, I don't know. But I'm not cool. Self-deprecation seems to be a bit more in line with how I've been playing him. Because like if one were like a sarcastic thing, or something, but I don't know, like there's no indication. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna say I'm not cool. And Kim maybe will be like, we need to work on your self-esteem. Does Ocelot think he's cool? Well, that's a good question. He has a bunch of different options, and they're all character options that he can say. So presumably, he doesn't actually think he's cool. He wants to be cool. He's trying to be cool, but he has a very serious lack of self-worth inside. So I'm gonna go with I'm not cool.
What? No. I can't believe you said that. You got personal style. You know what you like.
I mean, that's actually most of what coolness is, actually. Once you stop... I mean, like, there's a way of cool, which is, like, following a particular pattern of what is, like, currently in and being on top of trends. And then another style, or, like, another approach altogether is just have your own sense of doing things and just do that all the way. It's very effective, actually. People really admire confidence, and that comes across as confidence.
You like premium menswear. Look around and browse. Everything looks cool on a guy like you. Take your time.
He settles back into the pile of boxes he's sitting on. He's like, oh, you've got a jacket. You should buy more clothes from me.
Don't be distracted by the flattery and funny man act. Questions.
I could ask him, I could try to persuade him to give me money. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not going to shake up this guy for money. That is an abuse of power. I'm going to talk to him, actually. So let's see if we can make conversation. It's not going to work on him because he's making conversation to try to get what he wants out of me. But, you know, I can try. Two can try this game. Where are you from, Siileng?
Me? It's a boring story, officer. Who cares about the past? I'm all business now. All Revachol.
This man probably comes from Seaguy, sometimes known as the Apricot Suzerainty, an archipelago in the Samaran Isola.
I don't know what an Isola is. I don't know what a suzerainty is. I feel like he is not going to respond well to me pushing him. He specifically said I don't want to talk about the past. So I probably shouldn't ask him if I'm trying to be on his good terms. I'm curious. Like, I'm curious about things. Well, because it's a super, super, super rude and nasty to point out, well, you're not from around here. Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you really from? Like, that's like an absolute do not ever do that to somebody because they look like they aren't a local. Like, it's a really nasty thing to do. So I won't be doing that. As curious as I am, and I want to know more about the world, if he were not so set on, no, there's nothing to talk about in the past, I might ask him that, but I'm not going to. So I think I'm going to pick 3. Sounds good. Let's get back to business then.
Very cool. I like your style, officer.
He appreciates that. Yeah. If I want to get information out of him, I have to stay on his good side. In theory, this is what my brain is telling me. So I'm going to ask him what kind of stuff are you selling here?
Only the coolest goods in Revachol. I've got sneakers, speakers, extremely comfy pants too. Try them on right here. No shame, only freedom.
I can ask him, where'd you get those comfy pants? Do you have a permit to sell all that? Is there a discount for cool officers like me? Or that's all then. I think as if I ask, is there a discount for cool officers like me? He'll of course tell me there is. That doesn't mean there is, but we're joking around, we're playing. I'm going to ask, where'd you get those comfy pants? Because I'm intrigued by comfy pants. My pants are not comfy.
I'm an entrepreneur, officer. I've got sources, buyers, suppliers, distributors, manufacturers, wholesalers, all extremely cool and above board.
He's counting on his fingers. Yes. The more you talk, the less I think you're telling the truth. Do you have a permit to sell all that? There's not really any point in me asking. I'm not intimidating. I've got no reason to intimidate him. I just want to ask him some questions. I'm going to ask, is there a discount for cool officers like me?
No need for discounts at Siileng's, officer. Everything's already on sale. Anything you want, 50% off.
Okay, yeah. I thought he would play around and like jokingly butter me up and like we're both like playing and being goofy, but all right. So this guy is a fence selling stolen goods potentially. Or he could just be, you know, he found a supplier person who is just who sold him stuff really, really cheap, and then he's not buying or not paying for permits or anything like that. So then he doesn't have to charge as much to make up his costs. Let's see. If I'm going to go, that's all then. Let me ask you something else. I don't want to intimidate him at this point. I think I probably could. I think it would be easy to intimidate him, potentially. but I don't actually think it would result in what I want. So. Like Stanley Chrono?
Anything for you.
He smiles again. I think I'll look around. Okay, I'm not going to get any more information from him. Just imagine how disappointed Kim would be if I shook this guy up for money. You know?
There's a pile of cheap sunglasses in a small box, a variety of shapes and colors.
You like sunglasses, officer? I've got the latest styles right here.
The vendor takes a pair of sunglasses and sticks them under your nose. Okay, I'm gonna try the shades on.
Abort. These are hideous. What's more, they don't even fit your face. You can feel them pinching your nose and chafing against your brow.
Damn, officer! You look like a mega secret spy. Very secret. They're practically made for you. I'll let you have them for 2 real and 50 cents.
I don't have any money.
No, you are definitely not buying those.
Kim gently removes the glasses from your face, setting you free again. So you can say, don't tell me what to do, Kim. I like those sunglasses. Or, you're right. I'm too sensible for those. These are both terrible answers. Dreadful answers. Dreadful answers. I'm going to pick 2. I'm too sensible for those.
Are you sure? But they look so good on you. You should think this through, officer.
Oh, man. I'm going to rummage through the box.
These are all boring. Boring third-rate ho-hum sunglasses made of cheap Syrahese plastic. The kind of plastic that melts in the sun.
It's interesting that boring is the term that that his brain uses. I mean, to be fair, this is a man who wears a disco-ass blazer, so he does have a sense of style. And he is not interested in boring things on some level. That is a thing that he comes with, regardless of how you play him.
Those UV stickers are almost certainly just there for the show. If anything, these lenses probably direct more UV light into your pupils. A UV magnifier.
Thank you, drama. It's a pretense. It's not real.
These are all first-rate sunglasses. Premium design, super material, very cool, UV resistant. These will definitely keep your eyes safe and cool while doing your dangerous police work.
I can try conceptualization, have a very low chance of this. Try again, maybe you can find some interesting sunglasses in the box. I'm wasting so much time here. Ah, I see. A pair of water blue shades. The writing on the left temple says sub-insulindic rendezvous. The frame appears to be hand carved out of bone. Wow. That sounds scary.
Oh, very interesting choice, officer. Very high culture.
For the first time, the street vendor's voice trails off as he watches you inspect the glasses. That's interesting. I don't think I should try them on, but I don't have any option to not try them on. I am concerned about putting on things that are carved from bone.
This is how a sea monster sees the world. You've become a sea monster. Giant, hidden, and strangely tender at heart. All is blue.
Okay, that's really sweet.
Yes, but they also make your soul quiver like jello. So deep.
Oh my god, no. Don't gang up on me. I don't have any money. I can't buy these.
Wow, officer. You look so cool.
He has picked up his pace again as you observe the world through deep sea-tinted lenses.
And they can be yours for a mere 3 reals. My regular customers have passed them all up because they've got no taste. But you found them.
Kim, what about these?
The lieutenant tilts his head and steps back, eyes narrowed in a thorough examination. It's a case to him.
I love how seriously he takes this.
You look like a musician. Like a blind musician. But you could do worse. Take them if you want.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, I don't have any money, so I can't get that. But that's really interesting. There have been a few things that have kind of made me wonder whether my disco-ass detective used to be a musician back in the day. Take a look and see what else we got here.
There are clothes inside. Cheap second-hand clothes, smelling of strangers' body odors.
Yeah, okay. That is not just stuff that you picked up cheaply. This is used or stolen stuff. Okay.
Don't be shy. These are premium class clothes. Good quality fabrics, best retro design. Save the economy with your style, officer.
I mean, to be fair, I actually get most of my clothes from thrift stores, but not thrift stores on the side of the road that still smell like people that wore them last.
Save the economy? That sounds off.
Interesting. Save the economy, what are you talking about? I have to ask that.
Haven't you heard, officer? We've got to be economically conscious. Recycle your cash, keep it in circulation. Don't buy new things. Buy eco.
Oh! That does sound off. I didn't even think about it because it's not usually save the economy, it's save the earth, and my brain just auto-completed that. Oh, man. Yeah, like my brain just like automatically just assumed, because that is one of the reasons why it is good to buy used. It is generally more environmentally friendly than buying new, especially fast fashion. But that is really interesting. Save the economy. We've got to be economically conscious. Recycle your cash. Keep it in circulation. Instead of recycle stuff, keep using it. That's really interesting. So either this doesn't make any sense. Why exactly does the economy need saving? Or, thanks for the advice, I'll try to be more economically conscious. I am going to have to pick that first one because I'm really, really curious. As I've talked about, like there are unions, but there's also corporations and capitalism. And I'm trying to kind of figure out exactly how all that comes together in this world. So asking question number 1 will hopefully potentially reveal something. I mean, also this guy could just be full of hot air, but I am very curious about this. So I'm going to ask, this doesn't make any sense. Why exactly does the economy need saving?
Look around, officer. You see all these premium goods just sitting there, not getting bought. We've got to keep the flow of goods moving.
Okay, he's just going to be wackadoodle. That's all right.
Is this really the economy we want to leave to our children?
You're right. We've got to save Mother Economy. Oh, that is skewering. Okay. But I don't have children, I think. It's true. We don't know. I doubt he does, but he might. Let's see. It's just nature. Powerful economies expand. Weak economies go extinct. It's not so great. Or this economy is really just a distraction from the cultural issues. You know, immigrants, and let's not pick the xenophobic option. And then look, man, I just want to buy some clothes. I'm going to pick an awkward answer. I'm going to say I don't have children, I think, because that's kind of funny and also not super awkward. 1, 3, and 4 are all awkward in different ways, and I don't like them. So I'm going to go with 2.
Too bad, officer. Kids make it all worthwhile. Without kids, who's going to be around to enjoy the economy? Don't let me stop you. Open the box and browse a little.
Oh, it does kind of look like I'm holding hands with Kim, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to browse through the box.
You find your hands deep in tattered and faded garments made from weird polyester blends that make your body itch and sweat in all the wrong places.
Economical, but also trendy. Look first-hand, buy second-hand. Keep the economy moving.
Let's see if there's something worth salvaging from that pile of rags.
No good. All you can come up with are some treated wool pants. You can tell they're too tight around your thighs and too loose around the waist.
I'm gonna discard the woolly pants.
No luck? Why not take another look, officer? Keep supporting the economy.
I don't think I want the itchy pants. No, thank you. What else have we got? We got one more box.
You see 2 lowly, defeated speakers, thralls. Slaves, basically, perched atop them like conquerors surveying the land. A pair of found, durable wear sneakers, ultra serious.
This is a man who is prone to melodrama, no matter what. That's amazing.
I can see you have a taste for luxury, officer. Can't keep your eyes off those sneakers?
You can inspect the sneakers or inspect the speakers. I wonder if that is as fun in any other language. That's really fun. That's super fun. I'm going to inspect the speakers and then the sneakers.
These once respectable speakers have been conquered, reduced to a mere prop by the indomitable found ultras atop them.
See, that's Inland Empire without being Inland Empire, you know? Like, a person who doesn't have an overactive imagination would just be like, there's sneakers on top of something. I think those used to be speakers. But the idea of the speakers being conquered by the sneakers, like, that's your overactive imagination right there. Oh, man.
No, don't look at the speakers, officer. Look at the sneakers. The sneakers are the stars here.
Okay, so I can either say I'll look at the sneakers, or what about the speakers, though? Doesn't anyone want those speakers? Or poor little speakers and pat them. I am taking that option. I'm sorry.
No, don't pity them, officer. These are old Samaran garbage. Don't even look at them. Check out these super cool, fun ultras instead.
I'm so delighted. I'm glad that I pet that, though.
Samaran trash. That sounds like they're from the Samaran People's Republic, produced under the dictatorship of the proletariat.
Interesting. I am curious about the sneakers, but I'm also curious about the speakers. We're friends.
No way, officer. These aren't for sale. They're bad speakers. Lo-fi socialist junk.
Oh yeah, because I asked, can't I just buy the sad conquered Samaran speakers? And he said no. Oh my god, these are good options. Okay, I can either choose, but I need some speakers, which I don't have any reason to need speakers, but I could potentially wind up needing speakers. Oh, obviously for karaoke. Or that's why I want them. I think I might just be lo-fi socialist junk myself. Or, you're right, I don't have time for junk. I lead a luxury life. I'm really curious if I say that I'm socialist junk myself, he'll probably shut down. I wonder if Kim will have something to say. I don't know. I'm curious. Let's see. I'm gonna pick 2 because I'm really interested and I don't know that I'm getting anywhere with this guy.
No, officer. You're a high-class policeman who accepts nothing less than the best. Lucky for you, I've got the best on sale.
Amazing. Okay. I like that that's in line with one of the options that you could have picked. Let's see. I'm gonna say, you don't know what I am. I don't even know it myself. I want the speakers. Or wait, what if I do deserve more than a lo-fi socialist sound system? Man. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go with 1 because I'm curious about it.
Well, if you want them...
He's gonna put a stupid price tag.
But see, they are the pedestal for my sneakers. If I let go of the speakers, where will the sneakers go? I can't leave premium lifestyle sneakers on the ground. If, on the other hand, you wanted to buy the sneakers too, I could maybe throw in the speakers for a little extra. 50 cents?
Don't have the money, but...
A pair of found ultras. The design is impossibly sleek and simple. A futuristic silhouette with a sleek monochrome colorway, a jet black upper, and a silver-lined midsole.
They do sound really cool, don't they? I'm about to... I have a breakthrough imminent. I'm about to have finished wasting my time. I've done literally nothing useful. I've gathered no information to help me with my quest. These are actually cool shoes. I guess. I'm really not a shoe person, but they sound cool. They're being described like they're actually cool.
Those sneakers, mister. Those sneakers are the latest found sneakers. Super rare, super fine, super cool. Only 50 real.
That's a lot of money.
Only? That's madness.
It's a lot of money.
Fun, ultra. We're the future. You remember the slogan from some magazine?
If I had tons of money, I could get those, but I don't. Oh, I have no choice but to have my brain. All right.
Volumetric ship compressor.
Thought complete.
Bizarre scientific news from Revachol West today, where a police officer's shit has been observed at a pressure of around 495 gigadecimals. These metallic hydrogen levels of shit togetherness were thought to exist only at the center of collapsing stars, not law officials. It remains to be seen how long the shit singularity lasts.
That's very cute. All endurance white checks unlocked. Learning cap for endurance raised to 4. I am really amused by the writing of it, because it takes the idiomatic saying, get your shit together, and takes that to the extreme. And that's really clever. You know, like, it just... It's a really, like, I really appreciate, one of the things that I really appreciate in this game and in things like this is when they go all out, go all in on something, and they're like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. Because, like, if you say volumetric shit compressor, like, that makes, what does that mean? What does that mean? But when you put it in the context of get your shit together, it makes perfect sense. It's really clever and wild. So we're going to accept the bonuses of this. All right. Yes, comedy is doing the bit and then taking the bits 2 or 3 times further into absurdity. Yes. Yes, exactly. It's fantastic. Talking to people did not help me put my brain together, but that's fine. Do not have a solution to either of these. Oh, I'm losing logic ones. Okay, because I'm daydreaming about this other dude. Okay, map. Oh. Oh, I can now go back and do that. Okay. Well. I have a higher likelihood of succeeding with that. I have never read Homestuck. Periodically, I thought about it while I was, I should have probably actually gone to do this, talking to the cops in his car. Suppose we can. Okay, so this is the same brand as the shoes. Will Pines. That sounds familiar. There's some things I can look at over here. I'm gonna look at them. Jump Jams, a populaire musique mag. Okay. A glossy magazine. Most able-bodied men. This issue hosts a top 10 list. I am not on that list. Wild Pines. Yeah. That sounds familiar. Okay, let's look at this. Flute. That's the convenience store. Oh. This must be where people are protesting. 3 T's. How idiomatic. Yes, I did notice the extra T. That's cute that he has this little observation. There's some money on the ground. I'll fight any one of you. Okay. Alright, I got a little bit of money. Kim is looking at this. There's a person up there with a beret. This guy looks like the agitator. It is loud here. It says GRIH. Please tell me what that means, Brain. The Greater Revachol Industrial Harbor. Thank you, Brain. Oh, man. I think this probably would have been a better use of my time than haggling with that guy, but in case I need new clothes, I know. I'm gonna talk to, there was, I think, it's a guy up here, and then I'm gonna talk to this big guy who looks like he's a ringleader. Is he the guy, is he the company man? Or is this the company people up there? Well, I guess we'll find out, This person has a really distinctive way of dressing. They have a necktie and a beret from the looks of it. Alright.
Scab?
Asks a man with jolly eyes tilting his head. Call me Manana. That's tomorrow, right? That's call me tomorrow, right? No, I'm not a scab.
You're hazy on the notion of a scab. Smells like politics, though. Maybe it's got something to do with the flask he reaches for from time to time.
So I can either say, what exactly is a scab? Or, yeah, I'm a scab, poor and downtrodden, right to work. Or, I'm not a scab, I'm a cop. Or I can walk away. I'm going to ask, what exactly is a scab?
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses.
I can either say, hold on, where did they all come from? Or, you don't seem to like them much. I'm gonna ask, where did they all come from?
Beats me. Somewhere in the ground, I think.
You don't seem to like them much.
Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to scab. Or I guess scared, maybe. But scared of what? Of who?
He looks at the mass, squinting his eyes as if trying to ascertain what they're scared of.
Personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something.
So I can either nod and say, have you tried talking to them? Or shake my head and say, it's better than begging, come on. I'm gonna nod in agreement and say, have you tried talking to them?
We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time.
I'm not a scab, I'm a cop.
I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab.
His smile deepens his wrinkles even more. Cop scab, yeah.
Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, let us cop for less money.
He chuckles, then realizes...
Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the Wild North? Come to see the strife?
Okay, this guy's actually going to talk to me. I can shake him up for money. I don't feel good about that. I'm going to say I've come to Martinez investigating a murder.
Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder.
All of these options are pretty spectacular. I can either say, it's actually very fun and easy, or, you're right, it's almost impossible. I'm 91% sure I'll never get it solved. Or I can whisper, I have no idea what I'm doing. Or I can say, maybe you want to help me solve it by telling me who did it. Oh, man. Oh, man. I don't know. These are all so good. I'm really curious about all of them. He's funny, but he will definitely I don't know, I wouldn't want to cross him, you know? What do I want to do here? Is fun and easy? No. It's almost impossible. I have no idea what I'm doing. Maybe you want to help me solve it by telling me who did it, I think. That to me sounds aggressive, and I don't think that's going to work. So... I really want to whisper, I have no idea what I'm doing, but Kim would be so sad. Kim would be so sad. 2 feels like the sort of thing that would be not necessarily taken seriously. So the thing is, Kim already knows that I say this. Kim doesn't like it when I tell other people. I've noticed this. Kim gets really sad when I tell other people that I don't know what I'm doing. So he'll be really sad if I tell somebody else that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to make Kim sadder than he already is. Let's see. You're right. It's almost impossible. I'm 91% sure I'll never get it solved. I'm gonna go with that because it's just ridiculous.
Probably not. I wouldn't even know where to start with that. Much better here at the harbor, for an honest union man like me.
So I can say, what's the strike about anyway?
You know, serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to tell you. You'll have to ask him first.
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike. Return once you've met the union boss and are on a better footing with the organization.
Okay, that's good to know. Alright, suggestion, I will try not to forget that. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with, I need to know what's beyond these gates. I'm exploring. Maybe he'll explain it to me. That'd be nice.
My friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits.
He gazes over the roundabout with a glint of longing. So I will say, does this mean you can let me through the gate?
I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself.
He takes a swig and points up the stairs with his flask. Yeah, glasses, flashlight guy. Look, okay, to be fair, those were the things that I noticed about Kim. Not his cool jacket, but the fact that he had glasses and was holding a flashlight. Which I thought it was a flashlight. It might not even be a flashlight, but I'm pretty sure I thought it was a flashlight.
Beneath the jolliness, he suddenly seems doubtful.
That's simple. I just walk in.
Aye. Walk right past Measurehead and go in.
Past Measurehead.
Yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semini supremacist there. Walk right past him.
Oh wow, that is a really big guy. I don't know how tall 2.5 meters is because I have not yet learned that, but so I'm like, right.
Then press the button to unlock the door.
Uh-huh.
Then go past him again.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And you enter the arbor through the office. Está.
Over 8 feet tall. Okay, he can't actually be over 8 feet tall. But he's very tall. Alright. Because like 8 feet tall means something to me. There are very few people like that. But it can happen. If you're over 8 feet tall, I know you can exist. It's just, it is probably an exaggeration. Okay, so I'm going to say, for some reason it doesn't seem like it's going to be that easy.
Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best Measurehead in a physical confrontation.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Or you could convert to a Semini supremacist worldview. Or, maybe it actually is completely impossible.
I'm gonna ask, has anyone ever bested him in a physical confrontation?
Not yet, no. He's incredibly strong.
He evaluated my prowess. I don't have prowess. Alright, let's see. Has any of the scabs tried converting to his worldview?
Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition.
Okay. Got it. Another thing.
Sure.
Nice talk. Gotta get moving. Okay. So I can come up here. He might. Oh, hold on. There's things I can look at here. Hold on. Wait. No. Stop. I gotta look at this. In case of a strike, press button behind guard. A hermetically sealed door, locked by electronic means. There's no lock picking or door kicking this one. I like this rhyme. You're the right stuff, Measurehead, says this girl. Measurehead is law, says this other girl. Hi, Measurehead. I'm just talking. Tommy is definitely cooler. Tommy is great. I really like him.
Nobody betrays your degeneracy.
It does. That is true. That is absolutely correct, sir. That is absolutely correct. Did I just get boss fight music? I think I just got boss fight music.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
The young woman at the giant's side agrees. He's got lackeys.
Don't say anything. Size him up first.
Oh man. Okay, let's see. So I can either say nothing and size him up first, like authority says to do, but I have a general policy to disregard authority as much as possible. I'm a good cop. I can say, what do you mean my body betrays my degeneracy? Or my body does not betray my degeneracy? Or my body is unimportant. I'm with the police and we need to get into the harbor. Or we don't have time to get into this now. I'm going to... Yeah, they did warn us that this guy is a cultural supremacist, which does indicate that anyone who is not from the same cultural background that he is probably going to have some really awful things said to and about them. Notice how Kim is standing farther back this time around. So yeah, it's content warning, but in this case I suppose racist language will be in universe, so it will not be a hateful slur against any of us directly, which is a good decision to do with a secondary world type setting. Like, that is a nice thing that you can do, is that you can have people call each other horrifying things that don't actually hurt a real world person reading them, which is good. Yeah, sizing him up. The thing is, if I say nothing and I size him up, I think he might take that as an aggressive move. Because sizing someone up, it's a thing you can tell that somebody's doing. So I don't know that that's the right decision to make as far as not getting absolutely destroyed. Let's see. I'm gonna I'm not gonna argue to defend myself. I'm going to try to be honest with him. I don't think it's gonna go very well. He might kill me. Kim will either be really proud or really mad at me. I'm gonna go with 4. My body is unimportant. I'm with the police and we need to get into the harbor.
That is precisely the negligence that has led you to succumb to Al-Ghul.
His face contorts in disgust as if he were smelling a dead rat. Yes, my body is unimportant.
You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al-Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick.
The thing is, part of the reason why Ocelot having his moment during which he processed the footsteps, the footprints, why that stood out so much is because it's the shining moment of competence when it comes down to it. With a man who has not shown competence in any way, and yet it happens without thinking about it, and he just falls into it. He seems like he could potentially be a really interesting character who's mostly just, I can swear on this stream, the world's biggest fuck up. But occasionally, when either he forgets that or he needs to step up, he can be really cool. So for me, I feel like 3, you're right, I'm an alcoholic. Now I need to enter the harbor, is both in line with the thing that I just said and also actually pretty cool. Like, this man is just a zealot. He's just a bigot and a zealot who could probably rip me in half. But, like, I mean, yeah.
No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is waning.
Ham sandwich race. Is that talking about, like, a pink skin tone, or is that talking about eating habits? I wonder. I don't know enough about the cultures or the worlds, or the cultures of the nations of this world to really fully understand this. So I'm gonna try to put it together bit by bit. Occidental haplogroup B4, because that sounds like a very pseudoscientific way of categorizing human races, ethnogroups, etc.
Show him the ham still got it.
All right. Authority is making me say something here. So I can either say I think the ham sandwich race still has it in them, or I am the police and I need you to comply now and take a step closer, which I'm pretty sure will result in my death. Or the race stuff is unimportant here. I just need you to help me do my job, please. If this were a character that I thought I could impress by intimidating or by being strong, then the second option might actually be a good option. However, this man is a supremacist, and therefore literally nothing that I do is going to prove my worth to him in any way. So in the interest of not getting my skull removed from the rest of my body, I think I'm going to go with 3. I'm probably going to get myself killed here.
Begging for help. Attempting to pass via for cooperation. How far the Occidental Haplogroup has fallen. You were once a noble and powerful race.
I wondered, actually, if he was going to say something about that. If that was going to be... Because that's the, like, if I am strong and present myself with strength, can I win his respect? But... Huh. Yeah.
You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft.
I mean, I don't actually have to point it out, but I'm still going to point out that when he talks about the worthwhile contributions that my race has made to the world, the first one that gets the most enthusiasm, the one that gets put between asterisks so I know that it is bolded text, is eugenics. That statecraft and race theory are on the same line, but race theory comes before that. You know? It's a nice little detail there. Very character defining. I'm not actually curious, but I'm kind of curious in a dark way how he fits all of that into his own sense of superiority. Given that he called us the ham sandwich people. And then proceeds to talk about how we once did something. I do love the art style for the portraits. None of them quite match each other. Yeah, it is interesting that he talks in all caps, isn't it?
You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Khoikos. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture.
Okay. For all that the things that he's saying are genuinely horrifying, which they are, because there are people like this in the real world who hold equivalent beliefs to this. The writers are choosing to make it so we can laugh at his expense instead of just being horrified. The phrasing, inexplicably potato obsessed, there's just a little bit of absurdity there that gives it a little bit of levity that makes it a little bit more tolerable, if that makes sense. I talk a lot about the role that comic relief plays in allowing us to better tolerate tragedy and devastation, but there's a reason why you laugh nervously. It's a way of tolerating discomfort as well, and that's the role that it is serving in his dialogue here, which I appreciate. That is very nice. Yes, alt-world racism. Well, I mean, okay, thing is, I don't think I have to talk about why this man is wrong. You know, I don't think I have to talk about why this man is bad, and I don't think I have to talk about the fact that there are people who hold equivalent beliefs in the real world in a similar way. You know, I think I can assume that anybody who's watching me stream probably shares my sensibilities as far as racism and ethnocentrism and nationalism and those sort of things go. So let's take a moment to talk about how they're able to do this, even if you aren't a person who is inclined to agree with me on this, or if you're a person who your response is, because I don't know that they're going to get people who are in agreement with him. I don't think that's their audience. I don't think that's going to happen. But there are a fair number of people out there whose response to things is largely, I don't want to deal with it. It's not like that. It doesn't exist like that. I don't encounter it in the real world. It's not that bad. That's a thing of the past. Basically, a head in sand type of thing. And those people may very well be playing this game. And perhaps there may be some among us today, because it's a phase that people can go through and grow out of. And so one of the advantages of setting things in a secondary world, and this world is not fully a secondary world. It seems to have some direct mapping into our real world, which I'm still kind of figuring out, but largely it is a secondary world. I can go ahead and define secondary world for you. In case you're not a person who has studied speculative fiction, science fiction, and fantasy as I have. Secondary world just means that it doesn't take place in our world. It means that there is another world, a created world that this story takes place in. And one of the advantages of a secondary world in either fantasy or science fiction is that it enables us to have distance between us and what is happening in that world, because it is automatically disconnected, because it does not take place in our real world. And so what happens then, it could be analogous to things in our real world. Will never be the thing in our real world, and these will never be the people in our real world. And that distance allows writers to explore ideas that might be dangerous or too uncomfortable for people to encounter. It allows writers to get past their audience's defense. It allows writers to highlight things in such a way that people who cannot see it in the real world, because they are blinded by their own feelings or their own privilege, if you'll excuse me using the word, their own situation, their own experiences, their own biases, their own selfness gets in the way of their ability to see something as truth that the writer wants them to see as truth. But if you strip away the ability to directly relate it to themselves and their lives, that defensiveness doesn't arise, and so you can get them to see this is wrong and think about this is wrong. This is not good. And if you can get people to think about things in the secondary world that way, it can sometimes start to shift the way that they see things in the real world as well. So it's a very, 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 very valuable tool. If you're trying to use art for cultural change, writing in a secondary world is a very good way to do that. So you're saying that this is riffing on esoteric racism and wild spirituality. No, this is what the Nazis said. I think this is similar to that. This feels very, very in line with that specifically to me. Not pulling from some obscure form of ethno-nationalism, but specifically the Nazis. And I suspect that's not an accident. They were firm believers in pseudoscience. There was a sort of religious fervor to it. Hi, Josmea. I am enjoying it. It's very good. And yes, the humor of inexplicably potato obsessed is, like I said, that's comic relief that they are using to help us get through this rant. Okay, thanks, Enjoy. You're using more technical terms than I do. Okay, all right. That is not, the esoteric racism is not a term that I have encountered then. The writers who made this game started the company as a cultural organization. Yeah, well, the thing is, they're clearly trying to do something. I haven't yet figured out exactly what they're doing, because I haven't figured out where the analogs are between their world and our world. Obviously, racism bad. Labor movements generally good. But beyond that, I still have to get my bearings in this game to figure that out. Yeah. Anyway, sorry for that little tangent during what could be a very powerful scene, but sometimes I go off on tangents about safe things like narrative devices and storytelling techniques. Because, hold on. Because it's a way that I personally can hold on to a bit of control during something that's hard and difficult. So this is, in a way, me stalling. Not stalling. Stalling isn't the right word, but this is me giving myself distance from this. And I have useful things to say if you didn't know this. And if you did, you're like nodding your head like, yes, that is a common thing done in science fiction and fantasy. That's why when people say that science fiction is just like, popcorn fun and has never done anything or engaged with challenging themes, I'm like, science fiction has been engaging with challenging themes since the very beginning. Science fiction and fantasy engage with challenging themes in a way that realistic fiction cannot often. Not that the people who write realistic fiction don't want to engage with hard themes, but sometimes you can't accomplish what you're trying to accomplish unless you put that distance in. It's really, really powerful. So yeah. Anyway, I like stories. They have an incredibly profound way. You cannot change someone's minds with statistics or facts. And you can't change someone's mind by yelling at them, but you can change somebody's mind by telling them a story and making it feel real. It is one of the most powerful ways of persuasion. Whether we're talking about political beliefs, or marketing and sales, stories have power, and as powerless as those of us who like to create stories may feel in the grand scheme of things, because we can't save the world the way we want to save the world, we can do small things. And one of those small things we can do that is not very small at all is tell stories that help shape minds. And I respect people who use their talents and their time to do that. Scott Benson, A Night in the Woods, does that beautifully. This game is doing that as well. Thanks, Bubblegum. Yeah. Well, Janto, readers silo it into fiction away from commentary on real life, but it still can start to shift things inside. Not always. Not guaranteed. But it is a thing that can be done. It's kind of like how, say what you will about her politics and what else she's done, especially in the years since, but Ellen being on American television at the time that she was, had a lot to do with a kind of sea change. Slow moving, though, so maybe that's not the right term, but a change in perception of and acceptance of queer folks in the US. And it took a while to really even reach the level of equality that it did a few years ago. But having that story and that character that people connected with actually did change a lot of minds. It's really powerful. It really is. So, anyway, let's continue on with this man.
You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
Huh.
There is a button right behind him, just out of reach. It must be the one that opens the door to the harbor.
Come on, I just need you to move about 20 centimeters back, push him out of the way, or you're right about all this. Now I just need you to let me go into the harbor. Probably should have saved before I did this. But I didn't. I wonder if I can do that now. Do I have the ability to do that? Oh, look at that, I do! Quick save. No. Save game? No. Nope. Can't. Okay. There was a relatively recent autosave. Yeah, I could say this is going nowhere. Oh, it saves in the middle of conversations. Okay. That's fair. Otherwise you could just save skim one particular line. Or potentially screw yourself over. And they are not Sierra, so... Man, your pants are too low on your hips. They look kind of funny. I don't know that his arms are tiny. Not really sure anything about him is tiny. All right. I'm gonna say you're right about all this. Now I just need you to let me go into the harbor. This isn't gonna work, but no, he's got them crossed. He's trying to be intimidating. He's succeeding at being intimidating.
Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war. Bring your troops to the Siileng Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
There may be a peaceful solution to this. You could internalize Measurehead's race theory. He would take you as one of his own.
Wouldn't that mean I have to become a 70s supremacist myself?
Well, not as such. What you do with a mastery of advanced race theory is up to you. You could reject the findings, sure, or accept them and become an advanced racist.
What an interesting thing to give you access to in this game. I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna ask him, what are those tattoos of yours supposed to mean? I don't know that I want to know, but
Racists are generally not very good examples of their race.
gestures toward the lorryman down the street. Oh, you are not talking about my friend Tommy like that.
I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to permanently draw a phrenologic grid on my skull and features. This should dispel any doubt.
Okay. I can either be like, yes, absolutely, that's perfection. I don't stand a chance. Yeah, no. I gather that everyone in chat is familiar with the pseudoscience of measuring skulls to try to prove racial superiority. That was a thing in the real world. It's actually fairly mainstream as I understand it for a time. Yes, hence Measurehead. That is correct. I'm going to say nothing, which he'll probably take as an insult and want to kill me.
Your silence betrays your inferiority. You do not have a reply. You should enter a deep race slumber. Perhaps in 4,000 years, there is need for a servile homunculus.
Just... Okay, let's hear him. Yeah, because it is interesting that he's on the side of the Union. And I think we're supposed to side with those of the Union. But they have a very conveniently powerful, but also super evil ally here. Is interesting. It does get sort of as the complexity of things.
Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that.
He turns his eyes toward the harbor, seemingly bored with you.
There must be some friction there. He's keeping it well hidden, however.
Yeah, but you still serve them. How does that factor into your life?
Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront polycultural capital, something your race, naivistic communists, never did.
Mr. Clare. So basically what he's saying here is that he's going against capital, which is polycultural, pulling in from everywhere. But communists naively do not care about breaking people down on racial lines. So he's making a distinction between the man who is leading this union and idealistic communists. Okay.
Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It is lax and moronic.
This is interesting too, because like the especially American fixation on individualism is not limited to the US, but it is particularly strong there. I don't know. I have a complex relationship with my own like individualism, because on one hand I think that it's really like toxic when taken too far, but I don't think I could ever bring myself to fully let it go. So, but yeah, no, he is doing some pretty phenomenal mental gymnastics just between his sentences that he's saying here. It's interesting because he seems like the kind of guy that you'd be like, you're serving lesser people, and he's like, well, no, actually surfing is good, and I'm like, but never mind. Yes, he has fully ossified. No, that's true. I'm gonna say my jam is a mysterious fourth thing because I don't know what else to say. I don't actually want to get into an argument with this man, although I think I did accidentally step into an argument with this man.
Jam. Individualism. You have gotten these ideas from degenerate youth culture, have you not? You have picked them up from rock and roll songs?
I'm sorry, but I'm obligated to pick option number 1 with my disco-ass blazer. I have no choice but to say I got it from disco, actually. Also, because disco seems like it has a lot of cultural baggage that I don't fully understand as Lauren. I'm gonna pick that.
Offshoots of the Seminoles people invented disco while having sex under the influence of cocaine. It is a shame upon my race. But what is done is done.
What even? Oh my god.
I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Seminoles race.
I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna tell him about my head trauma. He's just going, man.
I can see that. The Seminoles are the South Island race, haplogroup A4A, the rightful masters of the Insulindian archipelago. We descend from the Areopagites of ancient Pericarnassus and arrived here 4,000 years ago.
See, like, some of these are words that are, like, related to real-world places or people or history.
We are the future. That is all you need to know.
Interesting that the only response I have here is, so you were born and raised on the islands before you moved to Revachol.
I am a descendant. The narrow streets of Ulimbuir are with me in my genetic dreams. I see young Seminese women walk into the grey mass on Ile de Fantôme, waiting on immaculate conception from the page.
Okay, yeah, there are real world groups that have similar beliefs to some of these things. So I can say, so you did come from the islands, so you did not come from the islands, or understood. So you did not come from the islands.
No. I have heard about it on the radio.
He would be appreciative if you did not further chase this line of inquiry in front of the women.
Oh my god. He saw it on the internet. He watched it on YouTube, man. I'm gonna get myself killed here. I know. Yeah, he saw it on YouTube once. Okay. So you're not really Seminese, you're just from Revachol. He's gonna kill me.
I'm from Couronne. And no, it is not just in Revachol. The city is central to the Siileng strategy. Spreading through its trade networks, our culture will dominate the world.
He changed tactics. That's interesting.
You have heard enough about our phylogenetic secrets for today. You have extinction to come to terms with, and never getting into the harbor.
Kim, notice Kim is standing farther away. Kim, what do you think about this?
I don't think anything about this. We are wasting our time having this conversation.
I mean, that's true. Yes, no, Kim has not said a word. Kim is like, I do not engage with supremacists. There's no conversation to be had.
Your pedomorphic friend is right. You should leave here with your tail between your legs, contemplating race extinction. I am an immovable obstacle.
I need to run him over with a motorcycle. I don't know how I'm gonna get one up here, but I could find a way. Kim, my friend, we need a bike. Stat. Man. That is something, all right. Thing is, I don't think we'd actually kill him if we ran him over, but I think we'd get him out of the way. Okay. Well, we can go talk to the big guy here, the big scab, I think. Oh, there's something over here. Let's take a look at it. The lorries probably stored fuel here. Now they store booze. I'm gonna talk to this man because I'm still kind of confused about what's going on here. Yeah, Gundy, but I don't know. He could be affecting an accent, but also accents can be passed along second generation. Like you can wind up generationally having an accent that matches your parents. But given that he heard about the islands on the radio, instead of like talking about like his parents passing this along to him, it is possible he could be affecting an accent. Yes. Let's talk to this fellow here.
Bastards! We have a right to work!
Language warning. But this is just straight up language. Yes, like my Canadian accent, despite growing up in Texas. Exactly. Although that one is more subtle, I think. I don't know. I don't know. But it is great fun when people are like, "Oh, I knew you were from Canada," and I'm like, "No, nope, I moved here 3 years ago." Sorry. I'm also just, I have a bad ear for accents. I'm not an actor, or whatever. Okay, so this man, the Scab Leader, yells toward the harbor gates. His voice is the loudest of the lot and oddly screechy for a man of his size. So I can say what's going on here.
Hold up and stay frosty, everyone. Cops are here.
Great, stay frosty. He thinks he's cool. All right, the broad-shouldered alpha male turns to you. He's a full head taller than everybody else here.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down.
Why should I?
We're here to fight for a cause. Stripes usually have problems with people who have causes.
And yeah, no, sorry is the word that is the most giveaway of my accent, which is why I said that the way I did. Because I know it and I think it's funny. All right. I'm not gonna beat them down. Besides, aren't usually cops on the side of the scabs? I mean, granted, this is their world, not our world, so we've yet to figure out exactly how things work. Let's find out.
Good. We're fighting for a cause here. Right to work! Right to work!
All right.
Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking, cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities are on our side. Builds confidence.
Don't like him very much. What kind of a cause are we talking about?
Rights of people. Rights of workers. To have gainful employment. To make a salary. And feed their family.
You're not actually legitimately a scab. You were sent here. I think. Because I feel like from what I've seen, most people who are scabs are people who are like, I just need a job, man. I just need a job, man. I just need to pay my bills, man. This kind of idealistic way of doing things feels very strange. Like this, we're doing it for rights. I'm like, oh, you're part of a larger, like this is a larger organized movement or anti-movement that you're part of. You know, this is different. Because the way he's phrasing it, rights of people, rights of workers, like he's like in a protest instead of just desperate people trying to get jobs. Yes. No, I think that to me he feels like he's placed here by the corporation or somebody to try to organize the scabs and fight against the labor movement. And I don't know for sure. And this is not an area of expertise for me by any stretch. But the way he's talking feels very disingenuous. Like, I don't think that he's just a guy who wants a job. I don't think he would talk like that.
His manner of speaking is wooden, the tone of voice bland and uninspired, almost as if compiling replies from a set of learned phrases.
Or that. Yes. We got this. All right. I'm going to say I don't think I've chosen any sides yet.
Might be time. Don't let the fat bastards tread on you. Cops tend to side with the higher-ups, but you're essentially still workers.
Yes, Lauren does have a generally decent natural rhetoric skill. That is one of the things that I have points in. It's funny. I used to be absolutely garbage at writing dialogue. For the same reason that I have a Canadian accent and never realized it. But I worked really hard at improving my ability to write dialogue, and I think really hard about what people are saying and why they're saying that, and overanalyze the nuance of everything that people ever say to me in games or books or movies or whatever, constantly constant overanalysis of every word ever spoken in front of me. It's a headache, and I wouldn't recommend it, but it does have its uses. Oh man. Okay. Because the emphasis on workers' rights and workers, and we're workers, and you should be with us, we're workers, like that's more the language of a labor movement. And so it almost feels like this is somebody who has co-opted the language of the labor movement to try to win over the people from the labor movement and destabilize their group. And also perhaps causing a bit of a mess in public perception, if public perception even matters here. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. And this is definitely a game for people. Yes, this is a game by people who overanalyze things, for people who overanalyze things. So, yeah. Yeah. Yes, in the US, right to work is anti-union laws. Yeah, no, it's really interesting having Canadians ask me about that. Right to work, and I don't remember what the... there's another one that Texas has that I thought was connected to right to work, but it's actually apparently a separate thing. Yeah. At will employment, that's the one. Thank you, Chris.
I don't trust cops, but I can see you understand the right to work! Right to work!
All right. Regardless, I have some questions for you.
Maybe you should ask them the questions, like why we're not allowed to make a living here. Shame on you!
Yeah. His voice also just sounds a little bit slimy.
We have families to feed, you piece of shit.
Like, that doesn't sound or feel legit. That's, if he were legit, if he were real, that's what he would lead with. That is what a desperate person who will take a job, even if it screws someone else over because he needs to feed his family. That's what he says. That's what he leads with. That's what he cares about. Like, the thing with scabs, who are largely desperate people who need to pay their bills, is that, like, I understand where they're coming from. And that's kind of what makes it difficult, you know? Like, you kind of have to be like, I know that this job would make a difference for you, but we're all going to be worse off if you take it. So you have to deal with shorter term individual suffering continuing in order for the hope of long-term collective improvement. And that's a big ask. So, yeah. Bye, Gummy Bear. Well, thank you for coming by. I will try to post this up tomorrow. It might be a little later just because I am going to have to stick all the videos together because of the disconnect. Yay! Yeah, and union dues and I mean mutual aid and community, like community helping community to help people get through times like that. Yeah.
So do we, Scab.
The loitering man hollers in return. So he's yelling up at that guy. I'm gonna ask some dumb questions here. What is a strike?
When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together, decide to block honest work for other people.
He shifts uncomfortably in his workers' overalls. He's shifting uncomfortably because he's saying bullshit. I can swear on this stream. So liberating. Oh, man.
Beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we have the right to work!
Man. It's like if Rhetoric didn't tell you that this is really uncomfortable and jarring and disingenuous again, it's pretty clear.
There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem ill-fitting.
Because he's wearing he's wearing a costume. These aren't his clothes.
His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls, held up by a belt, seem to fit a man with much more corpulence.
I can press him on this. Oh, amazing. Okay. He wearing new clothes?
He ignores your question, choosing instead to turn to the emaciated workers, raising both fists in the air. The clothes are obviously not his.
Yeah, so the description, the narration pointing at the emaciated workers, those are the genuinely desperate people. Everybody else here is real. He is not real.
Silence is the answer. There's something off here, but he won't say what.
I mean, yes. Who are all these strike breakers? Let's look around.
Honest men and women with rights to work, to be useful, not toys for corporate interests.
The man runs a hand through his steadily graying military haircut. Huh. That is not an accidental observation.
We came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time of crisis. If union fucks don't want work, they ought to let in those who do want work.
I have a question. Why do all these men follow your leadership?
Oh, Kim! Kim is here. Kim is getting involved. Kim knows something's up. Man! Kim does not get involved in conversations if he doesn't want to. He is the sort of person... These two are actually a really great team. Because Kim will quietly stand in the background and observe and notice and think. And Disco Revolver Ocelot. I'm sorry. It's Disco Ocelot now. Just goes in there and he does all of the big talking and stuff. But if you play him right, he picks at things to expose and reveal stuff until Kim can get the information that he needs to make sense. That's really great. They're a great team. No, they're a great team. I basically verbally bludgeon them until their weakness is exposed and Kim comes in and goes, ting. It's great. Actually, don't know if that's actually what happens at all, but this is kind of what the compatibility here that I'm feeling as a team.
You think they follow because I'm big and loud? No. They follow the rules of the market, the rules of the economy, because they were given a job to do!
Or are they paid scabs? That's also a possibility. They could literally be people who are paid to be scabs. That happens.
You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from.
Alright, reaction speed. Okay, I gotta ask. Where exactly are you from?
What's it to you?
Deep-set suspicion drips from every syllable. All of these are really good, and I don't know which one the right answer is. So I can either say curiosity, going to figure out this strike mess, routine, part of the investigation, or I thought you looked real familiar for a second there. I don't think that he's gonna respond well to 3. I think he'll act really weird and suspicious, but I don't think he'll take it. I think if I make him think that I am just investigating, because I'm a cop, I think he might sort of play along and maybe give away more than he wants to. Yeah, the rules of the economy. No, it's absolute garbage. Like, the stuff he's saying is just absolute trash. Because they'll be like, why are you investigating here? This isn't what you're investigating, is it? I want to get the right answer here. I don't even know if there is a right answer. He's their supervisor and they're paid scabs. They're not even real scabs. They're paid agitators, maybe. That's interesting. Why would the company want to do this? What would they stand to gain from making a ruckus like this? This is a sort of thing I think that you would usually pull out if you wanted to affect public perception or demoralize the strikers. And I don't have any sense for the power of public perception in this world, in this context, and it doesn't seem to be working on the strikers. So, curious. But I should probably actually answer this question. I should stop stalling. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I guess they could stage a. They could turn it into like staging a fight, and that's a cover. Whereas if they just sweep in and beat the strikers, these days that doesn't fly as much as it used to back in the day. And yes, the Pinkertons. That's I don't think I'd ever heard of the Pinkertons actually before Night in the Woods. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And if this guy's military, then presumably he's got some military guys around here, or if he's ex-military or whatever, who could make short work. Yeah. Whew. I mean, he can't be military, not if he's from Revachol. But he could be ex-military from somewhere else. Or things could be bigger than I think they are, and some other country could be getting involved, which would be really complicated. And weird. But not unthinkable, actually. Not unthinkable at all. Ooh, yeah. Alright. Yeah, Mr. Glomar, I can only imagine. If anyone's not familiar with the Pinkertons, they're literally what they do is they used to straight up kill strikers and workers who were trying to organize in horrible ways, and now they do things in slightly less direct ways, but the heart and soul of who they are and what they do hasn't changed. Is that fair to say? Is that accurate enough for a really, really high level summary? Okay. All right. Yeah. Yes. Old-timey Pinkertons were literally a private for-hire army to kill workers. Yeah, I didn't know about them until Night in the Woods. Boy, was that a thing to learn about. I worry. The problem is that this means that the stakes here are really high. Not even corporate assassins, because assassins secretly go after usually one really, like, powerful target. This is more like there's a bunch of miners who aren't going into the mine, so let's just shoot all of them and their children. So it's pretty bad. Yeah. Anyway, that makes this a little bit, like, that makes me feel like the stakes are higher here. Like, part of this is I want to solve this puzzle because it's a puzzle and I'm interested, and this guy feels weird and I don't like him and I feel uncomfortable. But, I mean, he is really, if you look at his builds, that he's a really muscular dude. He could actually probably go punch that guy up there. He might still get broken in half, but he might have a chance. I worry if I can't do something to destabilize him and his group, that's going to have consequences for other people. And I don't like that. I might be overanalyzing things. I've told you before, I kind of build like a house of cards where I'll like kind of start speculating about something, and then I'll start building on top of that speculation, and then build on top of that speculation, and then be like, this is clearly where we're going. And that's what I'm doing here, and I'm aware of it. But I still feel extra pressure because of this. But don't feel bad, by the way, if all of this is news to you and you haven't ever heard of these people or these things before. Like I said, like I hadn't heard of it until like 5 years ago. And I'm not a super ignorant person. There's a lot of things that I don't know, and also, especially if you're in the US, and if you're not in the US, this isn't necessarily relevant to you. And if you are in the US, this sort of thing is very intentionally not taught about in schools. So, yeah. Theory Jenga, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, no, this does feel like the game to analyze, because so they talk about the end of the world in some of the writing, and I don't know how literal that is. Again, I'm choosing to take everything at face value until proven otherwise, until I can calibrate that. But I do feel like the stakes are going to be bigger than just I'm a cop solving a mystery and I forgot who I am. Like, this one murder is is going to be part of something much bigger, and it's tied into this in some way. The man who was killed being corporate, and the potential killers potentially being union folks, and the specifics of it hanging for days before they call the cops, of somebody anonymously calling the cops using a voice hider, like. Something really gross is happening under the surface, and something really big is going on, and this guy, being a plant, is connected to all of that. And people, at least one person is dead horribly because of this. And like we've been saying, there's a long and sordid history of labor disputes leading to a lot of deaths of innocent people as well. So this feels like this is a lot more than just one conversation here. Curiosity, routine, or I thought you looked real familiar for a second there. Kim also knows something's up. Oh man, I'm really stuck on this. Oh man, I gotta think through the answer that feels best to me, regardless of what happens. I can, you can't control what you cannot control the reaction to the things that you can do. So the best way to avoid regret is to make sure that the actions that you're taking are actions you believe in real life as well. This is something I'm working very hard on. Now that I've worked so that I can know myself better and understand myself better, the next step is trying to make it so that the decisions that I make are truly my decisions. Because if something horrible happens, but you believed in the action that you took, you're like, well, at least that is my fault. But if you like are taking a decision for a reason that you don't believe in, and then something horrible happens, it's like 100 times worse. So yeah. All right, let's see. By the way, I appreciate you folks. You're being really good. You're being really good. You've got another thread that you're running with and talking, and I assume that the spoiler chat is having some conversation while I stall and try to figure out, okay, what do I think this guy, how do I think I can get this guy to open up? Or I don't know, he's going to open up. I don't think so. I think he's too professional to open up, but I think he'll let something slip. That's the thing, is I don't think that I can win him over. I don't think I can get him on my side, but I think I can get him to expose something. So I'm going to do this. Oh man. Okay. So curiosity, going to figure out the strike mess. If I say routine, part of the investigation, if he has anything to do with the murder or is connected to the murder in any way, regardless of whether he's like the cause or not, because it could be framed. Like they could have killed one of their own guys to try to frame the workers about it. Like, that is not outside of the realm of possibility. Justin thinks that I've been talking too much and should drink some water. You're probably right, friend. If I mention the investigation, I think he's going to shut down. Because it could very well be. It could very well be a frame job of some sort. I think he'll clam up if I mention the investigation. I think one makes the most sense because it makes me sound like I'm an idiot. When I want to figure out this mess, I don't know what's going on. I've been asking you all these questions. I don't get it, man. So I think he might lower his guard unless there's a way that like 3 we can like be like, yo, we're both creepy authoritarian business cop men together. But I don't know that Disco Ocelot is really the kind of guy to pull that off. I mean, look at my gloves. No. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna make an answer. I think it's gonna be either 1 or 3 here. Yes, Disco Ocelot does sound like a Mega Man X character. Oh man, we can draw him as a Mega Man X character. Oh man, gotta figure out this strike mess. Thought you looked real familiar for a second there. That sounds suspicious. It's a thing. That sounds suspicious. But the thing is, you could deliver because, okay, I gotta ask, where exactly are you from? Like, you could deliver that like it's just conversation. Well, I thought you looked real familiar. I thought I'd met you. Maybe our paths have crossed again, or crossed before. I'm sorry. I realize it's probably very frustrating how stumped I am on this. But on the other hand, we've had some really big conversations about things. Oh, those signs say stop in French. I've been trying to figure out what they say. But it's at the very least similar, if it's not exactly the word stop in French. And so the E is little because it's got to have the accent on it. But it's got 2 exclamation points, one on the front and one on the back. No, I mean, that's not really a surprise. But I told you I knew a little French. Don't make me pronounce it. But it's like arrête. It's like arrest. Like arresting actually means stopping. It's one of those cognates. Arrête, I think. I'm sorry. My accent is so bad. I know. There has been a lot of French. There's been a lot of French. Things have been named French. Words have been similar to words in French. Like, it feels very Frenchy. So. Let's see. French. Isn't that? I thought that was maybe I'm wrong. It feels like something. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway. Am I gonna? Yes, and Kim definitely does. Gonna push 3 or 1, 3 or 1, 3 or 1, 3 or 1. Thought you looked real familiar for a second there. I think 1 because it sounds more like I might be an ally.
Big mess, caused by union greed. But I only fight for the rights of people.
I'm gonna say, I already got that. I'm interested in your background.
We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill.
You're not a bouncer. So the eminent domain and Jamrock. Jamrock has come up a few times. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with 2 because it feels the most natural and it's not going to get information from him, but I don't think the others are going to get, the other ones are too direct. I don't think they'll work. Let's try this. Sweet, I know bars. Been thrown out from several. Maybe that's why you seem familiar. Like it seems unscary. Let's try this.
Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell?
I'll be honest, not right now, but it might have been there. I don't really remember things well. Let's go with that.
Uh-huh. It was a long time ago.
Oh, shoot. He's quickly losing interest. So what exactly is your goal here? Darn it, I did it wrong. I did a bad job. Oh, I'm disappointed. I should have pushed him harder. If he'd gotten mad, that at least would have been something. What exactly is your goal here?
We were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates.
And you're unable to breach the entrance?
Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open and try to get in through the secretary's office. Door's locked. The guards blocking the way to the access panel.
All right, how many of you folks would use the phrase heavy ordnance in this circumstance? Anyone? Anyone? Oh boy, yeah, he's military. Yeah, he's military. Oh! Yeah, I think maybe Stay Frosty is something I've heard in, like, action movies.
And I don't mean the scrawny mess punk either. I mean head measurer. Or whatever he is.
Yeah, it's a very military phrase. These are very military things. This is a military man. I wasn't 100% sure what until they mentioned his haircut, and then I was like, oh, yep, that's it. Cool. Well, we're gonna have a really big, ugly mess on our hands. Head measurer.
Yeah, that giant up there on the bridge you talked to. Head measurer. Won't let the workers by. The access panel is right behind him.
Yeah. Okay, so they do have it flagged that I had that conversation. How bad could one guy be? You seem capable.
Bad. Standing on a narrow bridge, he's got a strategically advantageous position. And he's trimmed.
Do you see how much you can do with intentional word choice? Do you see how important rhetoric is? Like, not just, pretty language, but the amount that they are able to convey. Because they have to hit you really hard with it to make sure that one of the things that he says is more likely to tip you off as a player in addition to the actual in-game thing. Nick, do you see how powerful it is? How much we can tell? If they hadn't called his haircut military, I would still have known. And he's trained.
I don't know how the Union has a trained killer up there. But that one's no joke, and my men are tired. And hungry. They're workers, not fighters.
My men, huh? Is that so, friend? Have you considered storming in like all of you?
Why don't you go arrest them instead? I'm sure they've done plenty of criminal shit. They have that look.
Uh-huh.
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home, at least for now, if you can't get in anyway.
Oh, Kim. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, well, I failed to trip this guy. I failed to make him really mad. I should have made him mad, actually. That might have been the thing that would have made him likely to crack.
No. They will give up eventually. Or get drunk. Leave the button unguarded. Then we charge.
The man rubs his jaw, a perfect, lightly bearded, square wedge. I want to get into the harbor, too.
Have fun. Union shits are on full strike. Don't think they're going to let you through the gates. I'm trying to meet their fat boss.
I'm interviewing people about a murder that took place here behind the hostel cafeteria there, or this is an official matter not to be discussed with outsiders. Gonna ask him about the murder here, actually. I know I said I wasn't going to. I think. Geez, I don't know. I really don't like. I feel like I'm very displeased with. I think my instincts to be cautious did not serve me well here, but that's okay. Let's see. Do I tell him about the murder that he might have been involved with? I have no reason to think that. I have several steps of jumps. I don't think, well, I mean, it's not exactly secret. I am interviewing people about this. Sure, let's see what he has to say about the murder. Okay, it's not secret. People know about it. We are going to be asking other people questions. We'll do this. Okay, I'm interviewing people about a murder that took place here behind the hostel cafeteria there.
I know nothing about a murder.
His reply is snappy and terse.
The mention of a killing sends a barely noticeable shiver of tenseness through him. Interesting.
Well, it's not that people don't know about the murder, it's that my involvement in this, that's the sort of thing that I don't know that I want to make myself. I'm not sure I want to deal with this guy's, you know, I could just be like a cop wandering around. Or I could be the cop that's on the murder that he is presumably actually connected to. Why so tense? The thing is, it may not be connected. It may just be this is just yet another signal that he's military and he has killed before. He may have nothing to do with this murder, but at the moment, I'm assuming that there's that. That's what we're rolling with. We can take steps back from that. I'm not like married to that idea, but that's currently my theory. The mention of killing sends a barely noticeable shiver of tenseness through him. Interesting. Why so tense?
What are you talking about? I'm not tense.
Oh man, you know, you could have kind of covered that if you'd been like, well, because we've got all these people yelling and there's that big dude and things like that. But no. Okay.
Yes, he's tense.
You don't say.
Right to work! It's shameful. Cops doing nothing. You should bring backup. Open up the gates for us. Blockading gainful employment for workers is a crime.
This really isn't my area of expertise.
We are not picking a side in this just yet, sir.
Thank you, Kim.
Pity. Let us work!
Do you have any tips on how to punch a guy out?
Not before you get in there and get your ass whooped. Learn by failure, I always say.
That's the only natural sounding thing he said this entire time. This is the only moment of him as himself that we have seen.
He might have some advice, but you got to at least try to fight Measurehead first. Return if you fail.
All right. Well, I failed at getting information from him, but I have theories. Unfortunately, they do me no good if Ocelot doesn't have them. Yeah. Well, that happened. Oh, boy. I still do need to call the cops. And I gotta look at this body. I'm gonna solve, or think I've solved, the mystery and not have pushed people enough for either Kim or Disco Ocelot to think it. And it's gonna be really frustrating. Man. Yeah, the voice acting is very clearly directed and well done too. Yeah, I guess it is time. It is that time, isn't it? It is 10 o'clock. So I can make a decision about whether I'm going to call the cops and ask about Disco. Actually, they're not going to pick up. Something's going to happen. They have to make it so that we can't get that information yet. Like, there's no way that we're going to have access to that information, but they'll probably give me something else. And they can very easily. Like, technology is so questionable, and Kim has made fun of my precinct before, so, like, if my precinct just isn't picking up, or they've, like, lost things or something, like, that's fine. World building. While also continuing to excuse my lack of knowing this stuff. So I might go ahead and try to get that taken care of at the beginning of, not next week, but the following week. Next week, I will be going to a concert again. But maybe I'll do that. God, I should have pushed that guy harder. I didn't want to push him too hard, because I thought I would be able to, like, get a certain point and then break him open, and I didn't. And I was waiting for one of my other skills to do something. But hopefully I'll be able to get something there. We're going to do that conversation. Well, I'm afraid it's going to take a long time. If it really is just going to be like we try to call and, that's funny, we can't make that call. That would be quick and we could do that right now. But I think I probably should shut down. Yeah, he might have cleaned up in a different way. But what I'm most worried about is I'm worried about me having made a conclusion and my character not being able to do anything with that knowledge. So I'm frustrated about, I'm at the very beginning of the game, so it's too early for me to feel that way. Good night, Samovar, sleep well. I'm worried about that prematurely. This is the very beginning of the game. There's got to be. The problem is that I have this like super hyper analytical mind, which is not always right. It does go galloping down directions that it maybe should have like poked its head down and then been like, yeah, no. But I don't know. It can be kind of frustrating when I'm like, okay, well then how do I get my character to know this thing that I think I know? But I've got the entire game to figure that out, and we'll see what happens. So it's not that the cops would do something about a planted scab right now, but I want to make sure that my boys know that something's up there, because like I said, I'm pretty sure that the planted scab is connected to the murder in some way. Not that he did it, but that the powers that put him where he is are connected potentially connected to the powers responsible for that killing. And I want to be able to prove that something is not right with him. But I will have another chance to do that. I could potentially go back to that conversation. Yeah, things are grayed out, but that doesn't mean that you can't click them again. So I could always go back and try to do that again. I suppose that is a thing. I haven't really done that in this game. Yes, there's a mystery on my hands. I know. I really do like mysteries. Can you tell? I like to try to puzzle things out. I really enjoy it a lot. It's one of my favorite things. It's actually really bad if I'm watching a really stupid movie or playing a really dumb game, I will still try to do this. And people will be like, Lauren, there's nothing to put together. It's not that deep. There's nothing here. Stop. Stop. The people who made this didn't think that much about it. I can't turn it off. So this game is very much up my alley in that regard. So I hope it's entertaining. I don't know. We didn't have, I don't think, any like really like big and did we have any big or meaningful conversations tonight? I don't know that we did. I don't know. But as far as playing this game, tonight was really fun and interesting. I feel like I'm beginning to sink my teeth some more into the things that are going on. And there was something really satisfying about me being like, your rhetoric gives you away, my man. And then Rhetoric is like, his rhetoric is giving him away. And I'm like, you know, there's something very satisfying about that. That's part of why, I mean, I told you I took the build that I did. Part of why I took the build I did, obviously, is because, like, as I've said, I want to try to have a guy who's more likely to be empathic and compassionate. But part of it is also that it'll be much easier for me to play a character whose strengths lie where my strengths lie. Because imagine if he was talking like that and I didn't have the option to react to the things he was saying. Imagine how frustrated I would be. So we have a character whose skills are somewhat similar to mine. Let us hope that I don't have a heart attack trying to take a thing off of a ceiling fan. We don't have ceiling fans. I'm in Canada. I should probably start exercising though, so I can put more than one point in body. Yeah, no, but I think that this will result in a more fun playthrough that will be less frustrating because it'll be more in line with the conclusions that I'm coming to will be more in line with what my character is coming to, I think. Yeah, my poor health. We'll put a point in body. We'll do that the next time that we get a level. I should probably do that because that'll give me a teensy bit of wiggle room to maybe not immediately die with everything. Man, the music is so good. I love this song. Yeah. So I'll make some more observations about the world probably as we start digging into it some more. But right now I'm still information gathering on that front. The tone of the game is definitely a lot less cynical and dark than I was afraid it would be. We even had this like horrible racist supremacist, and like I said, they did things to make it easier on you to get through his conversation. And the people who wrote it definitely don't think that everyone is like that. They don't think that people are all bad. And they have a certain sense of compassion. Okay, yeah, here. Before we go, I have another thing to talk about a bit. Or maybe I should talk about this next. I'll forget about it. It's 2 weeks from now. The fact that Head Measurer, or whatever his name is just a guy who watches too much Jordan Peterson. You know, that right there actually shows a certain degree of cynicism, but there's also a lot of empathy there, because there's nothing redeeming about the guy. There's not anything good or kind or tragic or beautiful about him, but there's something so pathetically human that understands that even people who are bad people are human. And that little bit of humanizing of bad people without excusing him in any way, I think shows a lot more of a much deeper understanding of and compassion for the human race than the people who write grimdark and think they're realistic. You know? It's vastly more interesting to have a villain who is human. And you don't have to make them appealing and sympathetic. You don't have to tell me about how they were kicked around as a child. But recognizing that this is just some pathetic guy who needed to feel important. And so he was drawn into this awful mindset that's really bad and destructive and hurtful. Because so many of the people in the real world who get involved with that sort of thing are desperately looking for a reason to feel better and superior. I mean, that's where a lot of racism comes from, you know? I mean, in a way, like, a lot of, like, American racism was an invention to try to take power away from people teaming up. You know, fundamentally, that's where the idea of whiteness comes from. You can read letters from the people who invented it, talking about how they wanted to prevent the poor people from teaming up together and fighting them. So they decided to make the poor whites feel superior to the poor non-whites. And thus racism of the particular flavor you find in the United States was born. It comes from fear, it comes from control, but it's not this inherent thing. It's not ever this inherent evil. And that doesn't make it okay, and that doesn't make it better. That does make it something that you can fight better. It makes it something that you can combat. It's just like if you want kids to not go into gangs, if you want people to not turn to lives of crime, like, provide them with opportunities outside of that so that they're not desperate and have better choices, and they will make those better choices. Punishing people into doing better is less effective than understanding why they do the bad thing and giving them an alternative, or taking away the thing that makes them want to do the bad thing. It's like the very worst thing you can do in another country where you want to fight extremism is go in there and punish the people, because they're just going to get more desperate, and the extremists are going to be offering a solution to the problem. Like, if your actual interest is in making things better, then making things better and solving the problem that causes something is the only way to do it. Jando, this actually predated the slave trade. This was actually during the time of indentured servitude, during the early days of the colonies. So later it evolved, the form of racism evolved to further justify the slave trade, but it was created before that. So yeah. That's a really happy note to end on, isn't it? No, but it is fundamentally essential, I think, to recognize the humanity in other people around us, including the people who do reprehensible things. I talk a lot on stream about breaking the cycle of abuse, and the way to do that is to find young people early in that experience and get them out of it, and help heal them before they can go on to perpetuate the cycle and become abusers themselves. And you can't necessarily fix everybody, but what you can do is figure out what causes the cycle and where in the cycle you can intervene and make a difference, and focus your energies there. And maybe some people are past salvation, you know, maybe some things can't be made better, but you can stop things from getting worse, and eventually that will result in a better world. And that, I think, is one of the most important things to take away from things. No, Jando, this is literally based on, like, there's, like, historical evidence for it. In fact, the people who write about the slave trade are people who talk about this as the origin. I'm trying to remember what it is. There's a podcast called, like, Deconstructing Whiteness or something like that, and this is one of the things that they talk about early. And then they go into the slave trade. I am not in any way meaning to diminish the horrors of the slave trade, or what chattel slavery in the United States was, or what it did. There is no way to overstate the evil or the destructiveness of it. Not just the harm, obviously, that it did to the people who were most affected by it and their descendants, but also even the people who started cutting away their own humanity to do it. But prior to that, historically speaking, a big part of where the concept of whiteness came from was during the early colonies, when there was when there were indentured servants coming to the U.S. What would that later become the U.S. And the rich people they were indebted to, realizing that they were going to rise up against them if they didn't find a way to break them up. It's really bad. So it's an interesting thing. I'm trying to remember. I can find a link and share it in Discord. But it was really eye-opening for me. This was prior to that, and it was the origin that kind of lay the groundwork for that form of slavery to become what it was. So I think we do disagree, and that's okay. Like I said, I'm not a historian. But I have been listening to historians. One of my projects for the past few years has been trying to educate myself on things that I don't know and feel I ought to. Because by better understanding these pieces of American history and American past, I can better participate in the present. So I've been trying to do that, and it's not very pleasant or very easy, and I would really like to look away from it, but sometimes you don't, you know. Sometimes you have to bear take up the burden of being human, and that means understanding the terrible things that happen in the world so that you can help heal the world after them or prevent them from continuing in whatever way you can. So yeah, it's I'm not quite sure where I was going with this. I don't know if I was going somewhere with this, but I feel like this game is written by people who share the same mindset that I do. And weirdly enough, the humanity, not sympathy, but humanity that they have bestowed upon their most like textbook two-dimensional despicable character reinforces that. So I think that uncomfortable content in this game will be handled in a way that will be with empathy and humanity. My only real concern is whether I can handle the content that I encounter. But I guess we'll see where the story takes us. I'm looking forward to finding out. I think it would be hard for me to step away at this point. We'll see how I feel in another few weeks, but I'm very curious to see where these writers go. 'Cause I enjoy the puzzle for the puzzle's sake, but I'm really interested in their exploration of humanity. All right, I should definitely shut down. We are past time, even with my starting late. We're running up on probably these poor boys having to do another trust backlift thing. Thank you all so much. Yes, please join our Discord if you feel like it and you're not there already. Please stick around. If you've enjoyed this, come back next week. Well, not next week. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now. 2 Thursdays from now. Next week I will be at a concert. Thank you all so much. I will see you all soon. Good night. Mwah. Take care of yourselves. It's really important. You're really important. We all have the power to make some small difference. Even if it's just by surviving and proving that we can and letting other people know that they can too. That's worth something too. Good night.